We're back for another edition of the Extra Point Show. I am your host, Nick Rice. On this edition, we have stats, highlights, and analysis of the weekend's best games, and it begins at Three Rivers Stadium in an overtime thriller from Pittsburgh. 1998 Vikings, 1978 Steelers. In one of the greatest performances by a quarterback on the campaign this year, Minnesota's Randall Cunningham was incredible in the fourth quarter, guiding consecutive touchdown drives to force overtime against one of the greatest defenses in NFL history. That's the 78 Steelers. Then after both teams punted, that's Cunningham who delivered another beauty to Moss to set up the game winner from Gary Anderson. Minnesota racked up 22 first downs in the overtime road win, and now the Vikings improved to 4-3. 2006 Colts, 1999 Rams. You'll see a bit later in the broadcast, Indianapolis might be 2-4, but they still aren't out of it in the AFC South. Fairly early in the season, and they're only a game back. But the Colts suffer a heartbreaker in St. Louis today, led by Kurt Warner, who was spectacular yet again, and the Colts were held to just 8 first downs. They still had a chance to win it, but Manning threw the game losing interception to London Fletcher with just over a minute left in the ballgame. 27-24, Rams. 2017 Eagles at the 1991 Redskins. Well, it's not too often you see a game like this where the starting quarterback of the winning Redskins completed just 3 passes for the game. But that was the case on Monday night as he leaned on the services of Pro Bowler Ernest Biner, who had his best performance of the season and has run his way to 3rd on the rushing list this year. Meanwhile, the Eagles' offense played well in the second half, but it was the 4 turnovers from Philadelphia which cost them in the end. Redskins with the win improved to 3-4 in the airtight NFC East. Well, I raved about how good Randall Cunningham was earlier today, but he did not earn the game ball for Week 7. I've got your offensive and defensive players of the week right now. So this was the Fred Biletnikoff we expected to see through most of this season. He erupts against the 68 Jets in a 28-21 Raider win. 4 catches for 140 yards and 3 touchdowns. A spectacular day for Hall of Famer Fred Biletnikoff and the Raiders win. Their 4th in a row. Another Hall of Famer earns the defensive game ball, and that's the Redskins' Darrell Green. He was pivotal in staving off Carson Wentz and the Eagles on Monday night with 7 tackles, an interception, 2 deflections, and a touchdown. A big win for the Redskins, led by Darrell Green. There are a lot of tight divisions in the league this year, but none are closer than in the AFC South. The leading Jaguars visit the last place Titans on Sunday, and with the Tennessee win, as the Colts play the 5-1 Niners this week, very likely the Titans would finish the day first in this division. It's an incredible division, and out of the AFC South, we're just getting started. Very similar story out of the AFC West. The Raiders visit the first place Chargers on Sunday. So while San Diego leads the division now, fresh off that win over the Chiefs earlier today, this thing can be completely different just 7 days from now. There is the complete look at the AFC West after Week 7. Fresh off an incredible week of the greatest team season, Week 8 is just around the corner. Let's check out the upcoming schedule. Not only is this an entertaining week, but it might just be the most important week of the greatest team season so far. 6 of these games are divisional matchups, and the headliners in the early window, which will be premiered on NFL Red Zone. We have every single touchdown from every single game for the early games of Week 8 of the greatest team season. It should be an absolute blast. Make sure to join us coming up this week. One of those 6 division games, a very intriguing one, is the first game, as you can see on the top left, where Miami's lone loss was to the Jets 2 weeks ago. If they lose to New York again, the Patriots could take first in the AFC East. There's the full slate of games for Week 8, and I'll preview 3 of them right now. 1998 Vikings, 1996 Packers. Fresh off of his outstanding performance in Pittsburgh today, Randall Cunningham ranks top 5 in the league in passing. He's been terrific. He faces a team in Green Bay that's struggling to move the ball consistently this year as they come into this weekend ranked 24th in total offense. Meanwhile, the turnovers have also helped Minnesota as the Vikings are a half game in front of Green Bay for second in the division with a +7 turnover differential. 1976 Raiders, 2006 Chargers. It's amazing to think that Oakland, after an 0-3 start to the year, could finish Week 8 first place in the AFC West. But that's the story this Sunday for the Raiders, who have already won 4 games in a row. Led by Ken Stabler, the Raiders rank in the top half in the league offensively, and a lot of that damage is with the quarterback, who's now thrown 10 touchdowns this season. The Chargers have struggled in quite a few games offensively, but they did put it all together against the Chiefs earlier today. Rivers, with 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, has been very hot and cold for the Chargers. We'll see what Rivers shows up on Sunday at home against the division rival Oakland. 2013 Seahawks, 1992 Cowboys. Seattle is the worst offense in the league this year, but it hasn't mattered yet. The Seahawks are 4-2 in large part due to the excellence of Hall of Famer Richard Sherman. He has 5 interceptions and 2 brought back for scores. Dallas defensively can be had, ranked 24th in yards allowed. I'm sure Russell Wilson and that offense will try and take advantage of a struggling secondary, which got picked apart last week at Arlington against the '98 Falcons. This should be an incredible game, and catch all the action this week on Red Zone. Well, if I haven't made it clear, I am super excited for NFL Red Zone. It's another opportunity to check out these teams in depth, and that's coming up this week with Charger 295. Until then, visit DreamSeasonFootballLeague.com. That's DreamSeasonFootballLeague.com for all stats, highlights, news, analysis, and much, much more of the greatest team season. And until then, I am Nick Rice, and this is The Extra Point.